things. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how this works and what it entails. NIST 800-171 is called Protecting Controlled Unclassified Information in Nonfederal Systems and Organizations. And it provides for a set of requirements for managing information and the confidentiality of this controlled unclassified information as far as what CUI is. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the requirements comply to any non-federal information and systems and organizations that process, store, or transmit the CUI. This applies to federal agencies and non-federal agencies that are contracting with government agencies. So if you have government contracts, or you work with Department of Defense or other entities within the government, these are in place. They went into place in December 31st, 2017, and you are required to comply with 800-171. What is CUI? What is controlled unclassified information? In a broad sense, it's pretty easy to define. It's sensitive items that pertain to privacy, to security, to proprietary business interests, or law enforcement investigations. And so that covers personal information. This could be credit cards. It could be names and email addresses, addresses, health information. All of that is personal information. So if you manage that and you work with a government agency, that is CUI and it needs to be controlled. Financial information, IT security. If you've got information about your network security within your network, and chances are you do, that is CUI. Law enforcement, investigations, all of those type of things, as well as patents, drawings, patent applications. That is all CUI. And that's not an exhaustive list. This is just a quick overview. But the thing that, personal information, who doesn't have some sort of personal information that needs to be managed within their organization? Any questions? So this is kind of broken down into 7 steps for complying. Step 1, locate, identify all the CUI within your organization. Where is it? What is it? And this includes everything. It includes your local computers, your servers, your workstations, stuff you've got stored in the cloud on Sharepoint, other cloud storage, Dropbox, emails, portable drives, and even our friendly little flash drives. Don't want to forget those. You need to know where it is and deal with it right away. Next, you want to categorize it. This means take a look at all of this CUI, and it's going to be easiest if you separate it from the rest of your business information so that you can manage it. And it also makes it much easier in case you undergo a CUI audit. Okay, here's my CUI, here's what I'm doing with it. Boop, it's right over here. Limit, we've talked about this before. Network access controls. Limit who has access to that information. By requirement, only authorized employees can view, download, and share the CUI. Encryption. Encryption is key. You want to protect that information. Encryption adds another layer of security and control over your data. And this encryption needs to occur both while it's in storage, while it's sitting at rest, while it's in use, and while it's being transmitted or shared. You need to maintain that encryption from end to end. Monitoring is also important. So you need to have some kind of logging or monitoring in place so that you know who is accessing this information, when they're accessing it, what they're doing with it, and it should be tagged. And 800-171 requires contracts to ensure that the things that are done with the CUI is tied to users so that if anything occurs, it can be tracked down and identified. Yes? Yes.
What's the best way for them? I mean, I guess they might probably answer my own question. Should they engage with like a specialty company to help them meet all of these requirements?
Yes, usually, because most small businesses don't have, they're not big enough to have an IT department. And that's why we exist, is because unless you have 25, 50 computers, you're not going to have an IT person or an IT department. So you need somebody to be able to offer guidance and implement these types of controls. And in that case, that's what they should do. They should seek out an IT provider that can do that. Like Ethixa. Training, there it is again. Training is really important. You need to educate your employees on the fundamentals of information exchange, and that means make sure they know what they're doing and how to share data properly, who not to share it with, and those best practices, and it should be updated regularly. They should also be aware of how important this is. If it's just viewed as, it's just something we kind of loosely do, then they're not going to understand that this is critical and important. And then number 7 is an assessment. Conduct a security assessment. And again, for those small businesses, they're probably not going to be able to do this on their own. It's good to have somebody from the outside to come in anyway. Just like a financial audit is have a security audit. Have somebody come in and test your security and tell you, okay, you've got gaps here, here, and here. You need to take care of those and figure out where to go with them. Again, I've got some more links here. You can read the actual requirements. It's a fun read. Lots of pictures. Just kidding. Or take a look at the NIST information page, which expounds on it a little bit. And again, this is in the slide deck, so if you want it, you can ask me for a copy. So in summary, we talked about all of the various threats that are in the world today, how to analyze them and develop a risk analysis and a risk matrix, and then the different components of improving your cybersecurity and what you need to implement and take care of as far as that goes. And then we did a brief overview of the cybersecurity framework and 800-171 compliance. And if you have any questions, I am available to take those questions. Did we get any questions from the live stream? Not at this time. And there's my email address if you would like to email me. I am always available for answering any questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Just one last question. It kind of goes back to backing up computers. One question that we get, well, I've gotten several times from some of our clients is what they use for backup is just simply an external hard drive.
Okay.
Is that secure in any way?
Well, that's a yes and a no. It's usually no. There's a couple problems with just using an external hard drive, and sometimes that's sufficient. You know, every use case is different. The portable hard drives, the issue with portable hard drives is, one, they're easily damaged, so you might lose your backup. Two, all of the backup needs to be encrypted if it's on the portable hard drive, and quite often they're not. It's quite often left in the same location as the data that's being backed up when it shouldn't be. And if you're going to use a portable hard drive, we've done this for our customers. Sometimes cloud storage isn't a viable option. So what we do is we implement a rotational schedule. So it's backed up to multiple external hard drives. You take one home or somewhere off-site. It's really important to have your data off-site in case something happens to the site itself. Or if it's left plugged into the computer and you get a ransomware attack, your backup can be encrypted along with your regular computer. So it's really important to have that data off-site. So you want to have multiple portable hard drives, back it up, take one home, back it up to the next one, and then just swap them so that one is always away from. The problem with that is people forget. It can be a pain to manage. If they're doing it, it can be a good solution.
Out of curiosity, for your company, is there a minimum requirement for small businesses that you would work with? Do you look at the number of PCs or?
No, there's no minimum requirement. We work in different capacities with different size companies. We do what's called managed services, so we have a monthly program, and that doesn't usually fit a company with less than 5 computers. But if somebody's a smaller company, we'll certainly work with them and offer consultation, and we can just, if there's we can provide guidance, and we work in a different capacity, and we like to partner with a company and find out what their needs are, and just work with them in the best way that suits them.
That kind of leverages off of, or can leverage off of like my comment in regard to your presentation. You covered a lot, had mentioned a lot of user training.
Yes.
Right? And with a lot of the small businesses that I work with, obviously IT is not what they do. They're busy doing what they do.
Yes.
Whether it's, I don't know, making signs or taking care of cables and things like that.
Right.
And in tandem with the importance of training, and keeping in mind that this isn't exactly maybe their forte, what are some thoughts in terms of them formulating like a robust training program? I mean, looking at your presentation, I guess like a risk assessment matrix is very helpful with and inform like policies or procedures, which I guess informs like training.
Right. Training covers a lot of different aspects, and it is really hard for a small business to implement some kind of training program on their own, and that can take a number of different forms. We do training. We do personalized training for companies, but you can also do webinars, and there are other YouTube videos, and sometimes it's a matter of knowing what to train the users on and what those resources are. So there are ways for small companies to implement a training program without it being an onerous or an overbearing type of activity. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Okay. And it sounds like that's something that you can help in your consultation.
Yes. Yep. Certainly. And every company is different as far as what their needs are and what they need to be trained on.
So a lot of like businesses we get, there is a lot, just sometimes only one person, and they have their own like personal computer. Like you mentioned about the antivirus software, about like installing it like to see everyone. They only have one. Is there certainly an antivirus program you just recommend to use for them?
If they only have one computer, then it's usually going to be a consumer antivirus because they're managing it themselves. And there's a number of viable options out there, and I don't recommend any specific one. Symantec or Norton makes good programs, and even Avast and AVG, and there's a whole host, Bitdefender, and it kind of changes along with the threat landscape as to which one is working better at the moment. As long as you have a reputable antivirus program in place and you don't rely on it to protect you from everything, you still want to use your head and not visit sites that aren't trustworthy. And one of the things that we tell all of our customers and all of our users is never click on the link in an email, because you just don't know. It's getting much harder to determine whether that's a fake email or not. So if you get an email that looks like it's from UPS or eBay or your bank or even your friend, and it's got a link within it, and it says you need to change your password, or we've detected an attempt at accessing your account, or anything like that, go to that site manually, log in yourself on their site. Don't click on that link.
I just wanted to add to that. If you look in the address at the top of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not what it says it is.
Yep.
I had one thing I wanted to comment on. I've been able to identify some gaps.
Good. That's good. That's what we want to hear. We want to make sure that this is useful